Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the newest sports podcast, or should we call it a Gbo vlog, a Gbo blog, or even a Gbo pod. So thanks for the suggestion from Peter Barraclough for those names, and maybe we should use those going forward. I'd also like to say thank you to Ian Clegg for his valuable feedback on the first sportscast that I did. So thanks, Ian, and obviously I've responded to your comments, and I enjoyed doing that. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the latest sports updates. And this has been recorded on Saturday, the 30th of January 2021 in the morning. So this gives you an idea of when I'm speaking and what I'm going to be talking about. We're going to start by taking a look back at the Premier League midweek fixtures, which threw up a few surprises, shall we say. And after this round of games, Manchester City now find themselves back on top of the Premier League. Obviously, they had a good 5-0 win at West Brom, but obviously the biggest surprise of the midweek fixtures was Manchester United's defeat at home to Sheffield United, which was a real surprise, I've got to say. And I've seen the highlights, and Manchester United played really poorly, but I've still got to say that Sheffield United made the most of what they had, the chances they had, because they didn't particularly play that well. And even though Manchester United played badly, they probably should still have won the game. And you could argue with a couple of contentious decisions as well, which went in favour of Sheffield United, but that's the way it is sometimes. Liverpool obviously got their challenge back in underway again. They fought their way back in by beating Tottenham away 3-1. A good result for them, not such a good result for Tottenham, and a blow for Tottenham is the loss of Harry Kane after sustaining an injury to both his ankles by the seams of it, and he may well be out for a few weeks, as Jose has pointed out in the last couple of days. So we'll see how it affects them. And obviously Leicester are still keeping their challenge up as well. They managed to draw at Everton without Jamie Vardy, who's undergone an hernia operation, and he's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks, maybe a little bit more, but we'll see. He's very resilient. He might be back quicker than you think. So those are the teams at the top, and to be honest with you, those are the 4 teams that I think possibly might fill those top 4 spots at the end of the season. So we'll see. Down at the bottom, obviously we've mentioned Sheffield United getting some points on the board, brings them closer to West Brom, who still sort of like seem to be treading water. They've had a bit of an improvement in recent times under Allardyce, but not massively, and I still think they've got a really weak squad. And then you've got Fulham and Brighton and Newcastle have dropped into trouble after they lost at home again to Leeds during the week. Leeds seem to be picking up a little bit again now. So they're like starting to maybe looking at moving up the table. I think they're 12th at the moment. And on a personal note, I was disappointed with Villa's result at Burnley, being beaten 3-2 after being in the league twice. And they should have scored enough goals in the first half to win the game, put it beyond Burnley, but unfortunately they didn't. And if you don't score goals, you often get punished, and they did. And that's the way it goes, so never mind. So moving on now to the weekend's games, and the big match of the weekend is this evening at 5:30. Arsenal take on Manchester United. It should be a good game. You'd expect there to be goals. Obviously, you'd expect a backlash of some kind from Manchester United after their defeat during the week. Arsenal's form's picking up again. They had a good result at Southampton during the week, and Southampton have been going very well this season. But they're very inconsistent at Arsenal, so you never know what you're going to get. But I'd expect to see a good game here, and let's hope it's as entertaining as we expect it could be. It's very much like the Liverpool-Man United game in the Cup last Sunday, which is a vast improvement on the league game they played against each other the week before. So fingers crossed to see an entertaining game there. And obviously, at the end of the table, we've already mentioned West Brom's troubles. Well, they're playing Fulham today, so that's a massive, massive game. I think, unless you're a die-hard fan of either side, I think you could possibly see a 0-0 draw there, maybe. I mean, during the week, it was the game between Brighton and Fulham, and I had a feeling it might end 0-0, and it did, because the two teams just haven't got the quality in the final third of the field, and you could say the same is going to be applies to today's game. But we'll see. You never know. They have got some quality there. I mean, Fulham have got Lookman, and they've also got Mitrovic, depending on whether he's playing or not, because he's had a bit of a hit and miss season with injuries and one thing and another so far. But we'll see what happens with that game. It obviously is a very vital game for both teams. Moving on to the National League now, and Halifax are at home today to Maidenhead. They had a very respectable draw away to Wrexham during the week. It was a better team in a very, very poor game, which reminded me a lot of the league match between Liverpool and Man United a couple of weeks back. It was very poor. I can only remember being one shot on target, and that was by Town, and the Wrexham goalkeeper Lainton tapped it over the bar, and that was about the only thing I can remember of any importance. We did have a few chances in the last few minutes, or we put pressure on the last few minutes, but we couldn't quite manage to win the game, and it was overall it's probably a good result for us. But today they're taking on Maidenhead at the Shea. Maidenhead in a really good run of form at the moment, and they beat Yeovil, come from behind on Wednesday to beat them 4-2. So I'm expecting a tough match, and the games are coming thick and fast, just like they are in the Premier League, because we've also got Hartlepool on Tuesday night at home. And like I say, Premier League have got another round of fixtures next week, so they're cramming them all in at the moment. So hopefully Halifax can maintain the spot in the playoffs. They're sixth at the moment. I appreciate that they've played more games than most of the sides in the league so far, but the other thing you've got to consider is we've only played 8 games at home before today, and we've played 11 away. So we've played some of the top teams as well. So hopefully stands us in good stead. We've got points on the board, and I know there's teams further down the league who've got quite a few games in hand, but they can't win them all, and they're going to be playing each other as well. So they aren't all going to pass us. But we need to pick up. If you look at the record of Town so far, they've had 19 games, I think it is. They've won 7, drawn 6 and lost 6. So if all the teams had played the same number of games, you'd say that we probably were about 10th in the league with that record, or maybe 11th, something like that. But like you say, you've got to take into account the fact we've played 11 away games and only 8 at home, so that imbalances that as well. So it's difficult to tell at the moment, but we're doing well, and we're hoping to have some players back from injury this weekend. Pete Wiles mentioned that Hyde should be coming into contention within the next week or so. Noble Lazarus might make his first appearance in the next couple of weeks. And obviously Martin Woods has been out, and Danny Williams is 50-50 I think for today, or maybe a bit higher than that for today. So there might be a chance that Williams is back in or on the bench today, and Woods possibly today as well. But I would think he might be involved at least on Tuesday. So we'll keep you posted on those as well, but it's all going okay at the moment for us. Don't forget also that Town have got Torquay away on the 20th of February, and that is live on BT Sport. So anybody who's got BT Sport can watch that. Kick off 5:30. And anybody who wants to watch any of the Town games, the home games have been streamed live by the website. You can pay £9.99 to watch it. So you may find that you've not been that interested so far, but once you've watched a game against Torquay and see if it actually is a decent level of football in Town, I've got a decent team. Hopefully they'll play well in that game. You might be encouraged to maybe sign up and watch one of the games if you haven't already done so. So just something to bear in mind. Now moving on to cricket, and during the week England wrapped up their series against Sri Lanka. They won the series 2-0. Another great performance by Joe Root in the second match, another century, and it ended up being fairly comfortable. There were a few jittery moments in the chase at the first when they lost a couple of quick wickets at the start, but it was good to see a good performance from Josh Butler as well. He's played well in the second game, and he's kept very well in the 2-match series, and also good to see Dom Sibley get back in the runs. Him and Zach Crawley have struggled to score any runs at all in the previous 3 innings they played together or opened together. So it was nice to see him get a 50 on the board in the last, in the run chase to win the match. So fingers crossed, this is all good signs for the tour of India. And this comes thick and fast because the first test starts on Friday. It's coming Friday the 5th of February in Chennai. The first of 4 tests against India, and this will be a real test. India having just won in Australia, the Test series out there 2-1, so the best team in the world probably in their own conditions. It'll be a real challenge for England, but England do have the likes of Archer and Stokes to come back into the squad, as well as Rory Burns. So hopefully this will strengthen the team, and we'll be able to put up a good performance and make it an interesting and exciting and close series. And again, I'll try and keep you up to date with what's going on in that. Also elsewhere in cricket, Pakistan won the first test against South Africa, and it was a good performance by Fawad Alam. You might remember Fawad Alam. He came back into the Pakistan team last summer when they played in England, and he made his first test appearance for 10 years, and he went out first ball for a duck. Well, he scored 100 in this match, and he scored the winning runs as well, so he's had some redemption there, I guess, in some ways you should say, or shape or form. So good luck to him. And we'll see how the second test goes, and then I think they're moving on to some T20 matches after that. But obviously Pakistan cricket, back in Pakistan, test cricket, it's good for them. And I believe England are travelling to play over Pakistan. I think it might be in 2022. So, but yeah, it's opening up again for Pakistan, and more teams the merrier. So good for them. Now we're going to talk about big events that are coming up, and obviously it's a Super Bowl next weekend. So the Buccaneers against the Chiefs. Who's going to win? Tom Brady against Mahomes. who's going to be coming out on top there, we'll have to see, but I'll do a bit more detail on that next weekend. But it's only a week away now, so people that are interested in American football, that's the big event coming up for them. And this weekend, every event's this weekend. We've got the darts that's already underway, Ladbrokes Masters. The first round was last night. There were a couple of good matches last night. Joe Cullen came through in a close battle against Steve Bunting, and he plays the new world champion and world number one Gerwyn Price in the second round this evening, so that should be a good match to look forward to. You never know what's going to happen with his first match as world champion. Will the pressure get to him? Maybe not so much because of the fact there's no crowd there, but even so, psychologically, will it affect him? Can Bradford's Cullen beat him? We'll see. Michael van Gerwen will want to prove that he really is. He still feels he is the best player in the world. He should be the real number one, so he'll be out to perform well. And we've got a resurgent Mervyn King playing this afternoon. He's playing against Rob Cross, who struggled somewhat in the last year or so. So we'll see how that goes. And some interesting other matches as well. All the top players. Peter Wright will be playing today. Gary Anderson's playing today. I believe Chizzy's playing today as well. So Menzies Sulovic is involved. So, you know, all the top players. I think about Michael Smith got knocked out last night. In a very intense match. I think it was against Eddie Lewis. He lost 6-5, so it was a good match. But you know, Eddie Lewis, is he going to resurge again and come back and show some of the form that made him world champion a few years ago? You never know. Just keep your eye on, you know, what's going on there today and the finals tomorrow evening. So you know, there's plenty of good hearts action there for you to follow. It would have been the horse racing trials meeting at Cheltenham this afternoon, but unfortunately, due to the weather, the track's waterlogged and that's been cancelled. And it's a shame for the riders and horses, the horses and their owners and trainers who wanted to get one last running round Cheltenham before the festival in just over 6 weeks' time. But as Ruby Walsh pointed out on the opening show this morning, if they feel the horse needs a run, they'll find a race for them to run somewhere else just to get them in shape to make sure they are fully prepared for the big race that they're entered for in March at the festival. So yeah, and I think the Dublin Festival comes up next week, so keep your eyes out for that one as well. We've got the tennis in Australia coming up as well. Be interested to see how the first Grand Slam of the year goes. I always look for this for points as to how the players' form's going to be throughout the year, so we'll be keeping up to date on that as and when we can. Another event this weekend, it's the in wrestling, it's the WWE Royal Rumble, and I actually enjoyed this. One of the main events for me of the year. The men's Royal Rumble match and the women's Royal Rumble match. The men's Royal Rumble match could see the return of Seth Rollins after taking time out with having his first child with his partner Becky Lynch. So obviously she won't be taking part in the women's match either. And then we've also got potentially the return of The Fiend. And who's going to be the number 30 entrant? Well, people are interested in wrestling. It could be a surprise entrant or a surprise winner. You never know. There's been lots of names mentioned. But we'll see who actually turns up on the day. In the women's Rumble, the favourites are Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Now it'd be good to see one of those two win. They've got a big future ahead of them. You never know whether, you know, there might be a swerve somewhere so Alexa Bliss wins it because of her connections with the Fiend, or maybe Charlotte Flair again, or Shayna Baszler. But we'll see what happens with that as well. So keep your eyes open if you're interested in WWE or any type of wrestling like AEW as well. So in more local news, work on the track at Odsal for the forthcoming stock car season is well underway. The weather's not been brilliant, but the guys who are involved there have been working really, really hard, and a lot of work has gone into it already. A lot of the groundwork, pardon the pun, has gone in, and they're making very good progress. And it's looking like there should be no problems for the arena to be ready for the first meeting on the 3rd of April. It's just a case of now seeing whether fans will be allowed or not. I mean, 2,000 tickets have been sold already, so it'd be great if, you know, there's a situation where we could have more than 2,000 fans in. I'd love to go. I haven't got a ticket, but I'd love to be able to go, but as it stands I can't. But anyway, the important thing is that the meeting does go ahead and we have a successful return of stock cars, and hopefully subsequently Speedway, maybe not this year, maybe later this year, but more likely it'll be 2022 from my understanding. Talking of Speedway, Sheffield have signed Troy Batchelor as their number one for next season. Obviously Nicky Pedersen's had to drop out because of the ruling made by Poland, where they're only allowing riders to ride in one other league as well as the Polish Extra League, which is really unfair. And it's a bit of a blow for riders in terms of earnings. I know Jason Doyle's not very happy about it, and he's not the only one. A lot of the top riders feel they're being restricted, but what can we do unless the FAM step in? Poland are basically dominating the sport, very much in a way that we dominated the sport back in the 70s and 80s, and it's turned around on its head now. So it's unfortunate, and it's something for the British promoters to consider for the future. The British promoters are obviously trying to look to the future by insisting that all British teams track a rising star rider, a British rider in the team at number 7. And all teams should have more than one. As far as I'm concerned, they should all have more than one British rider. Teams like Poole and Wolverhampton have sort of like said, well, it's disrupted the team planning, but they shouldn't be just having foreign riders all of them. Poole and Wolves at worst for that, and anyway, let's hope it's resolved itself in the future. We'll have more British riders coming through. I think we've got talent like Jordan Palin to come through. Tom Brennan's showing promise now as well, and let's hope they can follow in the footsteps of Ty Woffenden and to a lesser degree Robert Lambert, who unfortunately again is one of the riders who's having to miss this season in the UK simply because of the rules in Poland. So looking forward to the season. The planned season start is the 1st of May, and I believe the first matches in the Premiership are going to be on the 3rd of May. Bellevue, Wolves, Sheffield, Ipswich, Kings Lynn and Peterborough will all be in action on that day. Whether they'll be riding against each other in that order, I don't know. I'd expect Ipswich to ride Kings Lynn. Sheffield could be riding Bellevue or Wolverhampton or Peterborough. Bellevue will be riding Sheffield or Wolves. I don't know about Peterborough, but I'm sure there'll be matches to look forward to on that day. Let's hope it can go ahead. And then that's about it really for this week. That's all I want to cover. But if there are any other things or sports, for example, I haven't mentioned rugby league so far. I will be covering rugby league once the season gets up and running. I think it starts in March. So for people who think I've forgotten about rugby league, I haven't. We'll be talking about rugby league as well. But any other features you want to see, any topics you'd like to bring up, just send me a comment. This obviously is going to be uploaded to YouTube, and I'll share the link on social media as well. And just like something I've come up with is celebrity lookalikes of people who are in sports. The obvious ones are, for what I thought of, are like Marcelo Bielsa, the Leeds manager, but it looks very much like Jack Duckworth. The footballers, sports players have got lookalikes. Almiron at Newcastle, I think he looks a bit like Sheldon out of The Big Bang Theory. That's just my take on it. And the other one I've seen is Ebere Eze, who plays for Crystal Palace. Looks like a younger version of the wrestler Booker T. So if you've got any lookalikes or you think might be celebrities or sports people that look like each other, just post them in the comments on YouTube. Just as funny, it's something for a bit of a laugh and trying to make a bit light-hearted end to the weekly podcast. So I think that's just about it for now. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to what I've been going on about. If you have, let me know. If you haven't, let me know. As long as it's constructive, that's fine. And for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope to see you again next week.